Hey, everybody. Welcome to yet another exciting, this one is going to be even more exciting than the last week. Another exciting edition of the weekly Ergo AMA. And I'm your Dan from Japan, and my coming to you live from my blurry house back there. See how blurry it is? It's just, I've been trying to talk to the devs about that, but they can't really do anything about the blurriness. It's just, I don't know what it is. Maybe I didn't pay the sharpness bill, but anyway. I know it might be a little too early for crappy jokes for some of you guys, so let's get started. With me today, I have none other than Joe Armeanio. Say hi to everyone, Joe.
Pleasure to be here, everybody.
And, of course, Alex, the Kushti.
My pleasure to be here again, folks.
All right. Well, listen, we got a lot going on. Some of you might have heard about this Ergo hack thing that's happening. So I think there's a lot of activity going on with that. Also, from my end, so spent the last week, not the last week, a few days in Dubai for Satoshi Roundtable, which I actually didn't get to go to, but I went to a lot of stuff around it. Met some really good people, and actually have been also working on working on getting funding into the ecosystem, and so just speaking to other ecosystems and other funds potentially to see if we can attract some investment into the Ergo ecosystem and to just kind of give the community variety to work with. So that's been a really interesting piece of work. Aside from that, of course, the exchange process continues. Joe and I have been working with some exchanges separately, and we'll soon be together. So again, those things are definitely a cooking. There's some progress there. And of course, I do keep teasing the education course. It is coming. I guarantee to you guys. It is coming. We decided to focus more on the particular industry that the university specializes in so that we can attract more people to the course. Which is why it's taken a little longer to put together the syllabus, but the syllabus is out there, and we're just waiting for approval from the professors. That's about it from my end. How about you, Joe? What you been up to?
Probably the most exciting thing to cover this week is Ergo Hack. So far, we have 20 different registered teams, and a wide variety of potential projects that are coming out, including I know I actually did one. It's not a competitive project, but it'll for a prize, but exploring possible upgrades to SIG-USD. I know that Alex actually submitted a non-competing project as well, Chain Cash. We've had a lot of developers in the ecosystem throw out some really neat ideas, ranging from options contracts to stats to new types of node interfaces to mining upgrades, microfinance, network messaging, all kinds of really neat stuff, privacy swaps. So I'm looking forward to see what happens. It's always my favorite event in the Ergo ecosystem. Core development is nice, but I tend to know where that's going, and kind of the let's say unpredictable nature and organic growth of community-driven ideas is just more fun to me. So I'm excited to see where that goes.
Great. How about you, Alex? What do you got for us?
So excited about Ergo Hack as well. Also watching for public testing of Sigma Phi bonds. actually a lot of fun there. So I recommend to jump on the train and test the bonds also. It seems there is a lot of activity in the duck pools project. And for the notes releases, 507 is now set. It's huge, about 5,000 lines of code touched, and currently it's under testing and final reviews. I think release could be around beginning or mid of the next week. And it will be the big release with optional additional indexes, which will allow for building more decentralized applications. In short, we spent some on that during the past MAs. A lot of things going on, actually. That's quite awesome.
Excellent. A lot of really exciting stuff. Okay. All right. Well, I think without further ado, we should go to questions. What do you say, guys?
Sounds good to me.
All right. Okay, this is a nice question to start it off with. Can you do a very quick 5 on Rosenbridge and as it approaches a public release? How does it benefit Ergo?
Sure. So in the crypto industry, one thing that projects that are growing run into is the challenge of, let's say, entering broader markets and gaining traction or access to liquidity. Right now, usually what that requires is a partnership with a centralized entity or exchange. Okay, so if you want to, let's say, get access to certain markets, you may need to sign a partnership with, like, everyone says Binance or Coinbase or whatever. Having the ability to bridge an asset gives you access to ecosystems without needing that third party, right? So looks like the first area that Rosenbridge will partner with is going to be Cardano. It doesn't require a partnership with Cardano. We can do that independently without permission from anybody. And then we move our assets onto a new ecosystem. And so wherever ADA has liquidity, now potentially a user can buy ADA on their preferred exchange and actually interact within their ecosystem to get access to Ergo. So it's kind of a way of circumventing the need for exchange partnerships on some level. Now, for the base asset, I don't necessarily think that's the case. It's already something that Dan and I work with. But if you look at all the other projects that are building on top of Ergo, suddenly they have the ability to access liquidity without needing to go to let's say an exchange and deal with the compliance and business aspects of that, which has real world costs, right? So now everybody that's building on Ergo can use Rosenbridge to access greater market liquidity, and the inverse is also true, where you'll have other assets from ecosystems moving into Ergo, which makes DeFi more diverse.
Oh, are you still with us?
Who, me?
Oh,
did I freeze?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Okay, there we are. Yeah, I think I might be having connectivity issues, but it's okay. All right, yeah, and that's I mean, the main thing with Rosenbridge is like Joe said, it's a bridge. It's a bridge for ecosystems, meaning that you can bring value from other ecosystems. And with the architecture that Rosenbridge has, we're virtually, I mean, of course, there's some limits to what we can do, but there's a lot of possibilities. There's many possibilities to connect to other ecosystems with some very straightforward modifications. And so this doesn't just have to be Cardano. It starts with Cardano, but it can bridge to other ecosystems, and essentially just bring users, bring value.
It's a big deal that it's permissionless, right? I can use the example. I deal a lot with exchanges. I know the costs. So, like, let's say ErgoPad. It's a nice project. They build good things on top of Ergo, right? Well, if they want to get access to new markets, Rosenbridge is a much more efficient way that doesn't require bureaucracy. It doesn't require compliance. It doesn't require the cost of doing business. And suddenly, they could have like a Cardano wrap token, or an Ethereum wrap token, or a BNB wrap token, or an Algorand wrap token. And the more that Rosen expands, you have the potential to have projects that are across multiple markets, right? And that's kind of like the equivalent of an exchange listing, but the cost is much lower, and there's no need to get permission. So pretty cool idea.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Let's see. Okay, well, this is a nice question from Augustus Kent, as always. Do you think the Ergo community will grow more in 23 than it did in 2022 and 2021? We have come a long way, but what are your general predictions for 2023? I'd like to get Alex's answer on this. What do you think, Alex?
I think, so now it's quite a good moment coming to have another quick growth moment, right? So with few lending solutions coming and Rosenbridge, right? So, a lot of new assets coming into Ergo, and also assets possibly going out, so getting more valued than with people coming, it's already happening all the time. So with 20 projects we have registered for the Ergo hack. It seems now it's quite a good moment for growth, and we can expect good growth in 2023.
What about you, Joe? What do you think?
I think that if you talk about community, the core community of Ergo is stuck around, it seems like through the ups and downs, but there's always like the best marketing is the market, right? Hate to say it, but it's true. The best marketing is the market. When the number goes up a little bit, things are always more active. When the number, goes down, oops, I think we lost Dan. When the number goes down, then there's less engagement from the community. So I think there's always an element of like a core type of community that is much more interested in like the longer term vision, long-term development, and actual like tooling of the ecosystem. And then you always have kind of the short-term community that's on for the ride, and they rise and fall with the market, right? So, in terms of like the larger community, I think a lot of it just depends on what the market does. If you look at like the core community, I think that my general prediction is every year we've improved quite a bit. If I look at like the last year, when we rolled into 2022, we had, let's say, the wallet infrastructure was a big bottleneck. The Explorer was a big bottleneck, and that's becoming much less so in terms of like DeFi and smart contract capability. We were a lot more immature. And so I do think that ultimately we are going to evolve and expand and improve, throughout 2023. I don't think that will be, let's say odd. That's the general trend, right? But in terms of larger community, a lot just depends on what markets do, unfortunately.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. I've been I had to had to restart here really quick. Been having some technical difficulties. I think that community growth. It's a bit of I guess a subjective thing. Because I think that for many people it's different, right? So for some people, community growth is what? Just the numbers, right? So how big community, how big are our groups, how big is our Twitter, how big is, how big are all these obvious or what they think are obvious metrics for measuring community size, right? To me, community growth is more than just numbers, and I think to many as well. To me, quality community growth is growth in utilization of what the ecosystem has. It's more people building. It's basically, look, I will take an ecosystem that had an extra 10 projects start building it. A good 10 projects start building in it, then an ecosystem that just got 10,000 extra people on their Twitter any day. Because in the end, we build this stuff for people to use to build more stuff. I know it's a bit of not a very eloquent way of putting it, but essentially, look, that's all it comes down to be. Community, socials are great. You guys, that I enjoy socials and I'm on there quite a bit. And I think just being able to kind of be friends with people in the community is really great. But also we have to remember that the end result, or one of the end results of what is being done here, is a tool set that has to be utilized to build something. And if it's not being utilized, well, there's something wrong. I'm not saying it's not fixable, but there's something wrong. So that's something that's what I consider true community growth. Another piece of community growth is obviously the tool set itself, right? So has the community contributed to the tool set that is the ecosystem? And it's not just projects. So projects can be something different, for example, Palmyra, it's a project and it's a product. We will be building some tool sets within Palmyra to be utilized by the community later, but one is not mutually connected to the other, right? So you can have tools built for tooling, and you can have and then you can have products built separately. And I think the two have to be measured separately, at least to me, which is why I also consider the growth of the tool set, the growth of tooling, and the growth of tooling contributions as community growth. So in 2023, will we have more community contribution to Ergo tooling? Yes, I believe we will. I think we've seen an uptick in community contribution to Ergo tooling and Ergo, I guess, almost core developed. Again, not a very eloquent way of putting it, but some things are just straight up products, and some things are really products with tooling that can be used for others. Like, for example, Nautilus is a good example of something like that. It's a product and tools. Rosenbridge is another example of that, right? So Rosen is a product, but it's also a set of tools that can be utilized to build other things within the ecosystem. And I think that these are huge steps. I mean, there's other ones, of course. Ergo, there's a lot of other stuff. Sky Harbor. I could go through a huge list of all the projects, and I'm sure you guys are well aware of a lot of them that are contributing a lot to the ecosystem and to tooling. And that, I think, compared to 2021, that has been a big area of growth for the ecosystem. And so my prediction would be that there's going to be a lot more of this happening in 2023. There already is. The ecosystem is maturing, and I just can't wait to see it. All right, let's see what else we got. All right. All right. So let's see. We got a question from Hesh It Out with Cecil W. Wombat. And the question is, can you mention where to find information on Ergo wallets with Your Way sunsetting support at end of the month?
Yeah, ergoplatform.org, I believe, is the best aggregator. There might be a bot on Telegram or something as well.
Yeah. The Ergo platform website is always the best place to find all of this information. It's a very comprehensive website, and I would always direct everybody to that. Okay. Let's see. Okay, here's a good one. Let's see. Okay, so here's a nice question from QX. Hey, you three, good morning. In a general sense, what do each of you do to keep yourselves motivated during slow times in the industry like these? I can start, and then I guess you guys, Joe and Alex, can chime in, of course. One of the reasons why I started building Zengate and building the products in it, Palmyra and whatnot, it was sort of, there are many reasons, right? But one of the reasons that really kind of made me really jump on these things was I saw the market slowing down. I saw, people going into hibernation, projects slowing down. Everybody's like, we're gonna tuck in for the winter type, but having that type of mood and conversation. And my reaction was no, I will not let the market dictate how, where the build is. I will not let the market dictate that. I will not be a victim to of the market. I don't want to slow down. I want to keep building. I want to build something that is not just important, but it's also, in a way, just crypto and general market proof, something that's needed regardless of market conditions. And that's where the idea for Zengate came. And this is where, again, Palmyra came from. These, I guess, defiance to market cycles. And again, it's not the only reasons, but these were very strong motivators to start building now and keep building. And so for myself, aside from Zengate, aside from Palmyra, just in general, I'm just motivated by seeing the ecosystem blossom, like the Ergo ecosystem blossom, even in a bear market. It's a bear market and people are still building. We still got all these teams building. We still have Ergo Hack happening. We still have, Rosenbridge about to pop off. I mean, it's exciting. It's really motivating to me because, I mean, I love the Ergo ecosystem. I really think it's really organic. It's really honest. And I just love to see this shared attitude that people have in this ecosystem that I share, which is, damn the market, we're going to keep building. And so that's what motivates me. And it will keep motivating me regardless of market conditions. Yeah. So that's my take on it. What about you?
Oh, let me read the question again. Keep yourself motivated. Slow times. To be honest, I think that slow times are maybe even more peaceful than when times are hot. What am I motivated by? Really, I think that crypto as a whole has under-delivered and over-marketed a lot.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, okay, I think it'd be really nice if we could have, useful P2P money. And that's like the first one or two sentences in the Bitcoin white paper. I don't think we're there yet, right? And I don't think we've got too far as an industry. I know that things get really loud and shiny, and people chase a lot of narratives, and then the clown car crashes, and then there's mass carnage, and then the circus repeats at some point. I try not to be too involved in that. I just kind of watch and scratch my head sometimes, but for me, it really breaks down to really basic, let's say, goals or ideals. I think if we can have decent P2P money that protects people, that's a huge benefit to the world, right? If we can give tools to communities, people that need them, yeah, that's a huge use case, in terms of the noise and the market and all of that. I'll be honest, I mostly ignore it. One thing that I kind of have to do is engage on Twitter, and I just see that as like the Bluebird Asylum. I don't take it terribly seriously. I know that it's popular and things trend and people give it a lot of time and energy and attention, but I don't know. In my life, those are limited resources, right? So I just don't have that much to spare for, let's say the larger market and, the chaos, because you can't win, right? You can't win. Ergo will go up, let's say X, and then, it might come down X, and some people will have profited, some people will have lost, some people will be really happy, some people will be upset. I do think that for me, it's just like internal motivation. What's my purpose here? It's to try to help bootstrap useful P2P money, P2P tools. And I think that Ergo is a great foundation to do that. I think proof of work is a part of that. I think the contract modeling itself is a part of that. I think the ecosystem and kind of the developers and mindshare that have joined are a part of that team. So for me, I just want to contribute to that. Is it always the, funnest work? I usually enjoy it, to be honest, but I tend to be really good at tuning things out. So I just kind of stay in my little happy bubble and move forward. What about you, Alex?
I think pretty much the same. So, usually, what makes me sad, is observing that, yes, still a lot of things to get done, right? To actually make things happen on all the levels. Yeah, and that's also the biggest motivation, probably. At the same time.
Yeah, I gotta say, I mean, I get what you're saying about Twitter. There is a lot of noise. I'll tell you, I don't do Twitter for any kind of trendiness. To me, it's number one. It's a good place to connect with the community because I don't want to just be kind of a voice of the community. I want to be a part of the community, and it's a good place to connect. I mean, it's just entertaining. It's a good place to to hang out, I guess you could say, and to really understand the sentiment of the community. And of course, not everybody's on there, but in our industry, Twitter is king, and so that's where the people are. That's where I need to be. So that's why I am there. And yeah, you're there too, Joe. I see you. You're not as wordy as me. You usually have pretty significant things to say. I just shit post all the time. But it's just a good place to, like I said, to just really understand what everybody's thinking, or what portion of thinking, because I mean, that's we have a community all over the world, and as much as I'd love to see all of you in person as much as I could, unless I'm become really, really, really rich and have a jet and unlimited fuel and not piss off people for using so much fuel to fly around the world, I have to use electronic means to connect with people. So it's social media. Anywho, all right, let's see what else we got for some good questions. All right. So Joe Hamilton says, and I believe this is true, that Joe keeps himself motivated with coffee.
These are early. Wake up at like 7 o'clock to talk to everybody. Super fun.
Yeah, it's usually whenever I see you either rolling out of bed or rolling into bed.
Yeah.
So I never catch you in the middle unless I'm stateside. All right, so let's go to this question. All right, can you guys, Joe and Alex, tell us about your Ergo Hack projects and what made you excited to do them?
Alex, why don't you go first? Tell us about Chain Cash.
All right. So Chain Cash is monetary system which you can build on top of blockchain, but it's actually based on a paper of Professor Kenji Saito, from 2003, and so there was a little bit popular IWAT, digital money system in Japan in early 2000s. So now it's a kind of modern implementation where you can issue money, right, which are collectively backed by all the previous spenders. So it's basically the implementation of spender-signed currency idea, where when you spend a note, banknote, digital banknote, whether just issued, right, so previously to transfer it to you as a mean of payment. So when you spend the note, so you provide a signature, right? And when it's redeemable, right? So in the original proposal, in the backwards direction, the last signer pays first. Then in case of non-payment, the signer before the last, and so on. So in Chain Cash, you can redeem from reserve of any signer, and also you can put collateral on chain, right? So then you have automatic redemption. So we are going also to show how it's possible to build other monetary systems like local currencies, local exchange trading systems, and so on top of chain cash. So there will be a paper, rights, contracts, and some off-chain code, maybe just a little bit, because the time is limited. I mean about. I'm talking about the Ergo hack results. So probably after the Ergo hack, maybe it will be full-fledged implementation. All right. So what about
you, Joe?
So with like my little project, I actually have one of the governance tokens to the SigUSD Bank from way back when that first came out, and I've never been totally happy with the design of SigUSD. I think that there's more to be done in terms of resilience. I think that the economics of it could be more balanced. And that was actually like a discussion that I had originally had before version 1 came out. Like, hey, how can we either, change the fees of the model to create some incentives that seem to be more balanced? How can we potentially build some protocol side equity into it to offset some of the risk that SIG reserve holders take? So I don't see it as like it was an experimental design. It does work enough to be stable, but some of the net underlying economic assumptions could be improved, and I think it could be made to be more resilient. And I do think that if that's done properly over time, you build larger collateral, you create a certain resiliency, you develop trust, right? Like time shows good designs, and if we build that stable coin in a way that's a little bit more economically performant and potentially shows greater stability long term, I think it shows more value to that design. It's kind of been a discussion that's come up, I think, probably because JED came out in terms of like, hey, what is a algorithmic stable coin and what's the value of that? And so for me, it's a fascinating concept. How do you create stability in a highly volatile market? And how can we bootstrap that to where long term, not only is it actually decentralized, but potentially has privacy features that we can support with it, and kind of build a resilient stable form of money. Well, at least stable tied to fiat, which even that I'm not a fan of, right? The whole, let's have a dollar coin, but I don't know. It's something I think can be improved. So I'll do my best to at least scope out a path forward for, potential stablecoin improvements.
Very interesting, Joe. Yeah, I remember you talking about that quite a bit, actually. I'm glad to hear you say that you're working on it. Now, let's see. So CW gave us a good idea. Kushti versus Joe. Game on. What do you think?
I don't know. To be honest, I'm more excited about Bank Dash.
And Joe is like, all right, game over. I'm more excited about that.
Yeah, about Alex's project, to be honest. SigUSD. It's just like I have this governance token, and at some point, who knows, what, I think that becomes a liability over time. So I might as well try to do something with it and say, hey, guys, maybe we should just burn all these tokens and let the protocol be autonomous long term. And now I'm absolved of any responsibility, right? Like that's like the ultimate goal there is to just take my governance token and burn it.
Yeah. Take your governance token and let me tell you what to do with it. Burn it.
Burn it.
Anyway,
right, and,
yeah, we got.
yeah, well,
sorry. Go ahead, Alex.
yeah, very different stuff, and yeah, need to check all the other projects. But from what I know, well, also there are very different proposals there, and yeah, that's good, and well, good luck to judges to well somehow compare the different projects. Well, it's always hard actually, from my experience.
Yeah. Okay. We'll have time for one less good question, and here's actually a good one that has come up on social media quite a bit today, and actually I made a couple of semi-humorous posts about it as well. So Augustus Kent asks, there are rumors that SEC wants to ban staking in the USA. What would this mean for our good friends at Ethereum and Cardano? And how can they do that? Maybe only ban staking exchanges. So to clear it up, well, the rumor originated from, I believe he's the CEO of Coinbase. And well, just like with crypto mining, these are rumors. Okay, there are rumors about crypto mining being banned in Europe. There are now rumors about crypto staking being banned in the U.S. Well, first of all, it's a pretty long arc from wanting or talking about it or some guy hearing about it to actually it happening. That's number one. You could always remember. I just don't think it's going to be an instant thing. And if it does happen, I don't think it's going to be something where it's just like you guys are done and that's it. How do you ban staking? I mean, what do you do? What do you outlaw? I mean, those are the questions, For something to be first of all, for something to be under the SEC jurisdiction, it has to actually be proven that it's happening in the United States, right? One of fairly common troll questions for Cardano was like, oh, the SEC is coming for you guys. The SEC is coming for you guys. Well, first of all, there's no reason for them to do that because we are compliant with, we have, there's nothing for them to come after. Number one. And number two, the pre-sale was done in Japan. This is out of SEC jurisdiction. Very simple. So number one, you have to think jurisdiction. If the SEC tries to do something, they only have jurisdiction over the United States. That's number one. Number two, you have to prove that the transaction actually happened in the U.S. And if you're using decentralized hardware or decentralized infrastructure, and especially offshore infrastructure, then then it's happening offshore. It's not happening in the U.S., so it's out of the U.S. jurisdiction. I think that something like this, if it does happen, first of all, I think they're talking more about staking on exchanges, as Augustus said. And that's why Mr. Coinbase is worried about it because, they're talking about exchanges not, doing some sort of like regulation, some hard regulation on exchanges handling staking. Well, personally, I kind of don't want the government to tell us what to do with staking. But on the other hand, I'm kind of sitting here like thinking, well, kind of exchanges are kind of monopolizing staking. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not like crying for them. I'm not sitting and, rocking back and forth. Oh, my God, what are we going to do? Exchanges, you're not going to be able to stick in exchanges. I think that if that does happen, and I think it's super long for that to happen. If it does happen, that will just drive adoption to decentralize using, like I said, using decentralized infrastructure, and just finding other ways to do the same thing because you cannot. The whole point of decentralization is that there is no one concentrated point of failure, right? So if it's truly decentralized, you can cut off one head, but the rest of them are alive, right? So it'll keep going. And yeah, I think if it does happen, the protocols will adapt to it, and we'll find new ways of doing it. I just don't think it's as big of a deal as some people are making it out to be. What do you guys think about that? How about you, Joe? What do you think?
Sure. Well, if I had to guess, right, and I don't I'm not an expert on the topic, so it's good to start framing that, make that clear. I would imagine that the SEC's probably looked at different yield products, namely like Genesis and the great job that they did with Gemini in terms of, getting huge loans for like no return and then losing everybody's money. So I imagine that there's an issue that the SEC is taking up in terms of having these exchanges, offering yield products to customers. I know that, even like Coinbase Earn has had, some scrutiny around that, because the general idea is they're basically taking people's money and then offering some return and taking some cut in the middle. And even on like exchange side staking, I think if you dig into like their actual financial filings, you'd find that's like 10% of their revenue is just acting as like some middleman saying, "Hey, Dan, I'll, stake your Cardano for you and, you'll earn 4% and I'll give you 3%, right?" So, they're kind of acting as a middleman with some economic incentive there. So, I don't really see a huge amount of value. In terms of what the SEC does, my general base assumption is we shouldn't really care because these should be global networks. I don't think that there's any way you could actually ban personal staking. Look at Ethereum as an example. If someone acts as their own validator and has, 32 ETH and, hardware requirements, okay, they're going to be running that in their house, right? And the actual hardware overhead is not that insane to where, if there's enough of them, good luck finding them and stopping them, right? Have fun. But we've said the same thing in terms of mining. If the SEC or, I don't know, the EPA were like, "Hey, you can't run, personal computer equipment to do that type of computation. Good luck stopping it." Have fun. So let's see. This, in my opinion, lands on exchanges, and it's probably more a reaction to just crappy yield products to where, there's a saying in this industry, if you don't know where the yield comes from, you're probably the yield. And I think that there's been enough nonsense at large exchanges, mainly FTX and then Gemini, which are two pretty big industry players stateside, right? I would say that, they're probably, both of those are going to be in the top 5 or 10 exchanges that, the general population mentions or knows about, at least in the US. So seeing those two offering, different products and then both blowing up, in a way, you just invited the SEC into bed. So have fun. I don't know what else to say other than that. I don't think that it's realistic to ban user side staking, right? I'm sure there's a lot of people that don't really understand crypto that would love to be like, "Oh, you run a stake pool, or you're a validator, so we're going to try to, make you have money transmission requirements and KYC and all this stuff that's just not so practically applicable." I mean, on one hand, you have the ability to make rules, right? And on the other hand, you have to have the power and ability to enforce them. And a lot of the stuff that they propose in crypto, it's like, that's a great rule, but have fun actually, enforcing them. It's it's just not practical. The amount of manpower, time, energy that it would take to actually enforce that just is kind of a joke.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The arc is just too long there. I mean, it's just way too much stuff to do to enforce something like this in a decentralized ecosystem. And if it's truly decentralized, like Cardano, for example, it's really, really difficult. Yeah, go ahead, Alex. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, so the most important thing here then technically is to have possibility for user side validation, right? So to validate blocks on commodity hardware, basically. So then the lowest hanging fruit for this SEC, if I do understand its intention correctly, is Solana, right? And stuff like that. Where there is insanely high TPS being sold. And then only data centers can validate the blocks, and that means that such pseudo decentralized, quasi blockchains, easy target, right?
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Actually, there is a lot of things out there where it's like good luck even being a validator or acting in any mechanism of consensus, because just the overhead is too high, and so that's not so resilient. But when you're talking about lighter infrastructure, where you can build it with general purpose computer parts. And, I know that there was one hackathon project that, they want to run Ergo node potentially on smart TVs and smart fridges and smart watches. Good luck stopping that type of technology.
Yeah. Again, it comes back to decentralization. It kind of comes up from the same the same bucket of I don't think so, that the Ergo mixer I guess argument came from. If we had a question here a few months ago, I think, when Tornado Cash got shut down, can the same happen to Ergo mixer? Well, how do you do that? It's. I mean, you can knock on Joe's door, in the high mountains of Colorado, if you can ever find him and get past the minefield and the vicious dogs and the bears and whatnot, and he still can't do anything about that. Yeah. You can't. Like, what are you going to do? Tell people, goes like, okay, in this AMA, we're going to tell you to stop using. Yeah.
I already do it, Dan. In our Telegram channels, I have a really nice GIF where it says, "Please pretend to be nice." Right? That's about as good as I can do.
Yeah. Please stop using Ergo Mixer, or else Joe will get angry. I mean, that's about all you can do, because it's decentralized. You shut down one instance of it, 10 other ones will spring up. It's open source. So it's kind of the same thing, if it's not a quasi blockchain, like Alex said, if it's actually a really decentralized staking, proof of stake protocol, good luck, good luck. So I just don't think it's that big of a deal. All right, guys. Well, I think that's about all the time we have for this week. So just keep plugging away at Ergo Hack. Can't wait to see what the community comes up with, and talk about community growth. I mean, look at all the different stuff happening in Ergo Hack versus a year and a half ago. It's just amazing. So really, I'm just really thrilled to see all of this happening in a bear market, because who gives a crap about bear markets? We're Ergo. All right. Well, I guess until next week, this is Dan from Blurry Japan saying so long.
Have a good one, everybody.
Bye, everyone.